Jared Dillian. Own your money, own your life.
I'm Jared Dillian. This is the Jared Dillian Show. We're talking about how to be a generous person, which is sort of an existential thing to talk about on a show about money. If you want to call to talk about your money, please call 844-305-7800. That's 844-305-7800. This is the Jared Dillian Show. And also, I just want to say that, this is a show about money, but it's also a show about money and relationships. And a lot of relationships go sideways because of people's attitudes towards money. You can also go to my website, which is jareddillionmoney.com. That's jareddillionmoney.com. And you can follow me on Twitter at Daily Dirt Nap. We were talking about Christmas. And this, like I said, there's a lot of potential for relationships to go sideways because of people's attitudes about money. And people have a lot of expectations when it comes to Christmas, especially little kids. It's tough to disappoint little kids, right? Like, if you're a child, when I was like 6, 7, 8 years old, I wanted a pile of presents, and I would give a list to Santa that had like 50 or 75 things on it. And I could I was slightly, I don't know if I was spoiled, maybe a little bit spoiled, but I could reasonably expect to get a lot of those things. Yeah, my mom was pretty good at getting me stuff off the list. I didn't get everything, but I got a lot of the stuff on the list. But you don't want to disappoint little kids. And Christmas is tough because, like I said, there's a lot of people out there who make $50,000 a year and then they spend $7,000 on Christmas. And guess what? The $7,000 isn't cash, goes on the credit card, and then they spend more than $7,000. They end up spending $14,000 because they spend $7,000 in interest. And don't tell me that doesn't happen. That is exactly what happens. All the Christmas presents go on a credit card, and then you get whacked for interest. So if you spend $7,000 on Christmas and then another $7,000 on interest, that's easily going to wipe out all your savings for the year. And then some, and then you will never get ahead. You will never get ahead. And a lot of people are wondering why they just are falling behind. This is why. Sometimes Christmas or stuff like this, Christmas is tough. And like I said, you got little kids. You don't want to disappoint the little kids. I don't have all the answers. Maybe I do. I do my best. Let's put it that way. Gift giving in general is challenging. And, the gifts are the type of gifts you like are different at different points in your life. So, at this point in my life, I don't want an expensive gift. I want something. I just like one thing. I want a thing that is meaningful. And it doesn't even really have to be meaningful, just a thing. Just, as long as it's something I can use. Generally I want clothes. You know what I usually ask for? I ask for a gift certificate. I ask for a gift certificate for clothes or jewelry or something like that. And then I can just turn around and spend it, and it offsets the cost of whatever I'm going to buy. And that's all I care about. It's just a gesture. I don't need anything super expensive or complicated. I love to give gifts. I really love to give gifts. And I love to give gifts to my wife. I love to give gifts to my wife for no reason whatsoever. I like to just stop by the jewelry store and buy something and give it to her in August because no reason, just to do it. And I actually sort of de-emphasize Christmas and birthdays because it's easy to be generous on an occasion. It's easy to be generous on Christmas. It's easy to be generous on a birthday, but it's hard to be generous all the time. And I'm a big believer in random acts of kindness, not planned acts of kindness, random acts of kindness. I do this a lot in my life. When we talked about the whole tipping thing, I talk about tipping. I really like to give randomly give big tips, especially in tip jars. Dropping a 20 in a tip jar is one of my favorite things to do, just at random times, just for no reason. Here you go. Those things, those small gestures can really brighten up somebody's day. But I like to give gifts all times of the year. I gave my wife a watch. It was, I guess it was back in April, for no reason. No reason. And you just, that's what I like to do. It's not really about the quantity of gifts. It's about meaningful gifts. And there was, oh man, this was 2014 or 15. I think it was Christmas of 2014. I had a cat that I had for 15 years. His name was Otto, and he was the best cat of all time. He's a smart cat. Oh my goodness. This was like the smartest cat you've ever seen. Insanely smart. And he died in early 2014. And for Christmas, my wife got me, it might have been my birthday. For Christmas or my birthday, my wife got me a picture frame with 3 pictures of Otto in it. And I mean, it probably cost her $25. Made me cry. I was bawling. I mean, it was tough. I was like, wow, this is like one of the best gifts I've ever gotten. So I guess my point is that you don't need to spend $7,000 to really, light up somebody's world. You don't need to. You can do it it's not about the amount of money. It's like the amount of money you spend, it doesn't show somebody how much you love them. That's kind of the wrong way to express it. Hey, I spent $7,000 on Christmas. This is how much I love you. No, it shouldn't be like that. And that's kind of like a weird relationship. Like it shouldn't be dependent on how much so you got to try to manage expectations, And if Christmas is a big deal in your house, if this is something that is really a big deal, then you have to manage expectations. You have to say, you guys might be getting 2 gifts this year or 1 gift or something like that. And it might be worth $100 because you know what? We got to save money, or we're in the hole, or we got to pay off debt or whatever. And look, I don't want to get in your business, but this is tough stuff. And I'm going to say, these are important things. I'm going to say 2 important things here. Number 1, you are going to disappoint people. If you do this, you are going to disappoint people. If you give less gifts or give cheaper gifts, there's a good chance you're going to let people down. Number 2, you have to do it because you have to look out for yourself. You have to do it because you have to look out for yourself because nobody else is going to. You have to look out for yourself. You have to be selfish. And I know that is a dirty word and people don't like to think of themselves as selfish, but if you're up to your eyeballs in credit card debt and you don't see a way out, then piling on $7,000 worth of gifts at Christmas is not going to help. In fact, it's going to do the opposite. So you need to act in your own interest, and you need to spend less on Christmas or whenever and pay down that debt. So the kids really will be fine. They're not going to need a lifetime of therapy if you spend less on Christmas. Your family will be fine. You're still getting gifts. It's not like you're giving them, I don't know, like a jar of peanut butter. You need to communicate that you have to climb out of the hole, and you need everyone's help in doing it. So it's really going to be fine. It's going to be fine. There are a lot of people out there who get in financial trouble precisely because they are generous. I have a family member. When he travels, he is expected to buy plane tickets for a bunch of people. And when I travel, I'm expected to buy plane tickets for myself. But when he travels, he sort of has to buy plane tickets for an entourage. And I don't know why that expectation exists, but it does. And that's kind of where people get into trouble, is that when there's an expectation, that's when you risk letting people down. Then you don't want to let people down. And, if you're buying 6 plane tickets and 6 hotel rooms, I mean, yeah, like you just have to say no. You have to be selfish. You have to look out for yourself. Now, some people don't have this problem. Some people are not generous. Some people are tight with a buck. And you know what? If you are one of those people, then this entire discussion does not apply to you. This discussion applies to the people who are generous to a fault. And they give and they give and they give and they have nothing for themselves. And they even find themselves in debt because they're generous. And this gets into the whole financial codependence thing. We haven't talked about that in a while. Financial codependence. We talk about financial independence. I mean, financial independence means you are independent. You do not rely on anybody else, and nobody else relies on you. Financial codependence means you rely on other people, and other people rely on you. And codependence, you can read books about codependence. There's actual codependence, which is really like how to form sick relationships. But there's also financial codependence where people are bailing each other out and lending money to each other, and it's not good. You can really get yourself in trouble being generous to a fault. Be generous, but not to a fault. I'm Jared Dillian. This is The Jared Dillian Show.
The Jared Dillian Show.